Welcome to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. I'm your host, Luke Darnell, and welcome to the holiday season. I hope you all had a safe, distanced, and tasty Thanksgiving. Our guest this week really needs no introduction. Winner of countless grand championships and now two-time KCBS Team of the Year winner, Brad Leighninger of Gettin, Basted. There aren't really enough superlatives to describe this fella. He's been everywhere, he's cooked everything, and he's just a great dude. So please join me in welcoming Brad Leighninger from Gettin, Basted. Well, we're here with two-time Kansas City Barbecue Society Team of the Year winner, Brad Leighninger. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you've been getting some sleep since driving all over God's green earth?
Oh, boy, man, that was one hell of a long month of October. But, yeah, I've been catching up, been spending some time with the kids and getting ready to take them on vacation here if we can get out of here with COVID. So
yeah, definitely a trying time, but you guys definitely went everywhere and anywhere to the ends of the country searching for points.
I did. The last 6 weeks, I did 10 contests, 7 states from Wyoming, Virginia, Wisconsin, down to Mississippi. I mean, you name it, man. We pretty well went coast to coast almost. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun, but I am certainly glad it's over.
Well, and I'm glad that you finally got to come and experience Virginia judging.
I did. Did I ever? Woo! They did not like me at all. I thought I had great food both days, but I know it's kind of in vogue to get in there and bash judges right now. But I honestly, they don't have to like my food, man. I mean, I don't have to score everywhere, and that's okay. We'll leave Virginia to you guys, man. You guys can have it.
Well, you've scored pretty much everywhere else. It's one of those things where I've had the pleasure of cooking against you a few times, cooking with you a few times, and still to this day, the best slice of brisket that I've ever had was 2 years ago in Plant City, Florida. I took a bite of that, and I told Darren that day, I said, we have no chance of winning brisket because Brad easily won it, and I think you finished, I can't remember, but it was like 29.
I got hammered, man. It cost me the contest. But we had Virginia judges down there in Florida, I think. And it was funny because that contest, Matt and I were both there, and I'd been going from 2 up on him to 1 up on him to 2 up on him to 1 up on him. I was 2 up on him at the time. And I get a win there. I close the door. It's 3 up. We close the season. We go on about our business. Everybody's happy. And we both were kind of trading calls going up to brisket. We get down to the first place brisket, and it was, I looked over at him. I said, it's me or you? And it was not me. So Matt got the win there. I thought I had, like you said, I thought I had good enough brisket to win it, but Matt got the win there in brisket and put himself back in it, put him within 1 again. So, he ended up skipping King the Smoker, going to Alabama because of it. So history was changed because of Virginia judges down in Florida.
Yeah, that was a fun contest, and it's been fun being part of the barbecue league and, getting to cook against all the great guys that are a part of that. I just marvel at your consistency. When we talk about on the show, we talk about what's the difference between a good pitmaster and a great pitmaster. I think it's consistency. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, without a doubt. You've got to put yourself in position. Like, you can get wiped out by tables any day, and you're going to, and you can get helped out by them. You got to put yourself in position to win. So when those tables line up, you do win. You can't give away contests. And that's what consistent cooks do, right? You got your batting average, your winning percentage. When things line up and they hit the tables they need to hit, they win contests. That's the difference. Whereas guys that are struggling or whatever, maybe you miss a category or whatever. So you've got to cook the food that puts you in a position to win the day that everything aligns and it's your day. And that's the way I look at it. And you can't take the highs, you can't take the lows. You just go out there and you perform and don't get caught up in everything else.
Yeah, that's a hard thing, especially for newer people coming in to barbecue. I always say the worst thing that happens to a new cook is they get a call right out of the bat, or they finish RGC or GC in their first contest, and it's like, man, this is easy. I know what I'm doing. And it's like, that's not reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that happened to me. My first 2, I got 3 calls at both my first 2 contests. And so I think, man, you guys then we stepped up and went up like north of Kansas City and just, cooked like a 652 or something like that. Just got wiped out. This, barbecue's got a way to humble you in a hurry. And it's got a way to reel you back in. It's kind of like golfing that way, right? You're getting ready to quit, sell all your stuff, and you have that good drive. And then it's the same thing in barbecue. You're just about out, I'm done, never do it again. And boom. It's like Lucky's Q's prime example. He struggled all year, and then all of a sudden he goes out there and he could hit a bull's ass to the bass fiddle as far as cooking. Goes out there and goes to the world championship, pulls off a third place, and now he'll probably cook 30 next year now because of that. So it's amazing how this game, man, how it humbles you and then it brings you right back in.
Exactly, and you just brought up a good point. Have you ever had a breaking point like that where you were like, man, I kind of feel like I'm done with this?
Man, I mean, we've gone through it where we've hit some walls. I mean, honestly, I'm just, this year probably was the closest I've come, not necessarily to quitting, but just deciding that, hey, man, I've got other stuff I need to do in my life. People don't understand to do this on a high level. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of work, a lot of constant, and you just can't do it part-time. I mean, I think that's what you're talking about, people that start or whatever.
Yeah.
You see a lot of guys get the same call because they're putting everything they've got into it, and you've got to do that. And you've got to get better every year because everybody else is getting better every year. And I was sitting there in the middle of the year, just kind of sitting there going, okay, is this really what I want to do right now? Not that I don't love it or whatever, but I'm not going to be like, and you see a lot of these guys that quit, like, Tim Grant, or even to Travis to an extent or whatever, because they don't have it wired in them to lose, and they know that if they can't go out there and cook like they need to cook, they're not going to get the results they want to get, so they back out completely because they don't want to do anything half-ass. And so I was kind of asking myself those questions, and really up before the run I went on the win team of the year, a guy I used to play football with actually back in the day, and he's coaching high school football now, put a quote up there that something along the lines of, the hardest decision a person's ever going to make is deciding to quit or, deciding to work harder. And that really resonated with me because I looked at my wife, I said, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I got to put the time in. So I kind of rededicated myself for this little bit of part of the year. So honestly, as far as quitting or slowing down, I mean, I'll probably never be out. I'll probably do whatever. But as far as being at the top, I was kind of questioning that this year, honestly, just like, hey, is it time to move on and do something else? And, obviously I'm glad I decided to, put the effort in there for the last couple months of the season. Paid off.
It sure did. It sure did. And I know that you were in there tight with Joe from Slack. Yeah. And this is one of my favorite questions on here. And it was the first question I asked Joe because I've been at contests with both of you, and I know that both of you love to play the gamesmanship game. And talk about that a little bit, because you and Joe both do have the same kind of approach to that when I'm there. Cook's never good, the worst thing ever. And I'm like, that's not possible.
Yeah, no, I've never had a good cook before, saying that, and I know we're going to talk about superstition. That plays into that, a little bit as well. I'll either go one way or the other. I'll either have the worst cook, everything's just dog, we cussing on here, dog crap or whatever, but everything's terrible.
Say whatever you want.
Sweet. Everything's dog shit. Everything's horrible. Or what we call is, and the story behind this is, and I hope Drew doesn't pick this thing up, but Drew McNatt from Hogtied Barbecue, he would he never liked his food, never liked it at all, never did whatever. Because of that, David Quall started calling him Droosh. And so we made a verb about that. We call that Drooshing. So we'll either go out there and we'll it's terrible, everything's horrible, and go out there and get 4 calls to win the contest. Or every now and then you pull the reverse Droosh, which is, hey, somebody goes up there and says, how's your cook? So I can't cook any better. It's the best damn food I've ever had. What's funny is we do that I so rarely do that when I do it, everybody just kind of they look at me, they're like, what the heck? They taking it back. So no, we do that, terrible food and terrible meat. I mean, one of my other superstitions along the same lines is I text Justin. We talked about Lucky Q. I have to text him every week about how shitty the meat is that I'm finding. And that's just part of my routine. I'm like, oh man, my meat's really terrible. It doesn't matter if I got the best stuff sitting here, whatever it is. And so Joe, we're doing that. And we're traveling back and forth. And Joe and I are talking about how terrible everything is and this and that. And we go there and go 1-2 at a contest. And everybody just look at us like we're, the biggest assholes on the planet. But it's just part of our deal, our gamesmanship and us just having fun. I mean, you should have been out in that Virginia contest because the trash talk going back and forth between those trailers. I think we had Donald Cook scared. Like him and his family thought Joe and I were going to fight at one point, I think. And, it was just, we were just having fun,
Right.
just trash talking.
I wish I could have been there. I had that class and just to be there when you guys got your score sheets from the Mid-Atlantic would have been fun.
I was actually it was a weird position because I just needed the field, right? You
Right.
know, I mean, I think Joe probably got beat up a little bit. I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, well, I didn't do what I wanted to do, but neither did Joe. Let's move on to the day two. You know what I mean? I was just taking the field and you know, you're just praying. Like I had good food, but after you kind of get through ribs and you know, I think I got a low chicken call, or I think I got third chicken actually the second day. But you know, you get a chicken call and you go through there and you don't get a rib call, but and there's a couple people that have two calls. Like, you know, day two, Smoke Me Silly had two calls. And so now you get into pork and you're like, well, you know, Smoke Me Silly gets three and they get to brisket. He's like, you might as well finish this thing out, man. Go ahead and win it. So it was a
Right.
weird situation where I'm actually pulling for everybody else to get calls. And as they're getting calls, I'm like, oh, hey, rooters and tuners. All right, that's four for them. You know, normally normally you're like, oh man, that puts me out. But this time I was like, oh yeah, okay, they got the GC. All right, fantastic. Joe can't win it then, you know. So it was a really weird feeling out there in Virginia for me that I was trying, don't get me wrong, and I was cooking. I thought I had great food, but I was also pulling for the field to have great food. So
I can hear Joe stewing right now.
oh yeah, no, he was so close to that fourth place, man. I mean, that
Oh,
was as tight as it can get.
yeah. Kim and I watched those awards, and I was sitting there, and it got to 5, and I was like, man, he might do it.
Yeah.
And then they called him for fourth, and we were both like the air just came out of the car. We weren't even there, you know. It just came right out. Like, oh my god, that he's gonna be in dire straits.
Hey, it's tough to come back from. It's already tough to cook a double, and you know he struggled the next day.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I mean, I've been through it. You know, the highs and the lows, and this is Joe's first real kind of chasing through it, and it's tough to be watching awards or sitting in awards, and you're worried about you, but you're also worried about what everybody else is doing too. So
yeah.
it kind of changes the dynamics of everything.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Everybody knows how successful you've been, especially in the past 5 years in barbecue. But let's get into some backstory. Who has impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
Oh man, I mean, it's got to be my man Tim Shear, I would say. I mean, as far as it goes, I think I probably, you know, he'd probably answer the question the same way. I mean, you know, we've been over the last 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, you know, learning to cook on Gateway drums, and you know, it's not like a stick burner where there's a lot of set paths. We've been kind of making it up as we go along, and just having Tim to be able to bounce a stupid idea off of, or taste your food, or you know, just teaching classes and just methodology, methods and everything else. I mean, he's definitely had the biggest impact on my cooking career, just from number one, just from the drums, but number two, just we just sitting there being able to have somebody else kind of going through the same thing. Like when we started struggling and stuff, like it took us forever to even figure out we needed to clean the cans. That's how dumb we are when we were starting. You know, it's something that's so obvious, but back then we thought, oh, it's good flavor. No, it's not good flavor. Clean your can. Just being able to have somebody else that's learning this along and shortens that learning curve, because we both are, you know, are pretty accomplished cooks, and just having somebody of that caliber to be going through that with you, I think that's helped us both, you know, go up that much more.
And that's a great point you make, you know, having that circle of people that you trust and that you can rely on to ask for advice. You know, it's one of those things that I do it all the time, because still trying to figure out my way on the Jambo, and started doing
Sure.
some stuff on the can. And there for a while, I'm texting both you and Tim going, okay, day 2 of a double, I need a chicken process like right now, because I'm going to do it.
Right.
And,
I'm switching.
right. And just having those resources. I mean, I tell people all the time, try and build your network, try and find some friends that'll really help you out
Yeah.
in the competition world.
And you have to give something up, and you got to remember, like nobody's going to come to you when they're doing good and you're struggling. They're going to come to you when you're killing it and they're struggling. But you got to know, you know, hey, I'm going to give this out. And number one, they're your friend. You know, you don't want to see them doing it. But number two, you know, you're going to give out some help, and then understand that, hey, it may not come back to you right away, but I promise you, you should keep doing barbecue. At some point, you're going to be looking at that guy going, man, I gotta, you know, what am I doing wrong with brisket or whatever, you know? And it's absolutely, I mean, you make a network, make some friends, and, you know, don't be so close tight to the chest that you're not willing to give something away, because it'll come back to you tenfold. Promise me. I promise you, man. I've got there's a ton of people that I can call if I start to struggle, and you know, I've helped them and they've helped me. And that's the only way to stay on top of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you've won Team of the Year twice. You finally got your rib jacket. Congratulations.
God, man, I needed that. It's just to shut Blaine up. That's the only that's that son of a bitch, man. He won it in 2016, so for 4 years he's been holding that over my head. And that was I've been second. I'm not second. I've been one win away like 2 or 3 times from getting that thing. Gone in the last contest, needed the top 2 or 3 in ribs to win it, including the year he won it, and he would not let it go. So finally, Blaine, shut up, okay? I got the jacket.
I might have to leave a marker right now that maybe I would like to win that jacket next year. I don't know.
Man, do it. Get in there. I'd like to make you one. That's part of the fun of it. It's making that jacket. It's cool, man.
Absolutely.
And Matt did a great job. Matt and Sarah did. It's awesome. It's going to go hang up in the restaurant.
I'm going to actually download that picture and I'll put it up when we post this podcast, just because that was one tradition before I knew a lot about everything that we were doing. That I think my first banquet was when Drew gave Tim his jacket.
The Riberace jacket.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, what is this? Like this is something cool. And I've always wanted to, but I'm just not that good of a rib cook. But I'm working on it. So we'll see what happens. So you've done all these things now. So what are your goals moving forward? What are you hungry for now in the competition world?
Well, I mean, majors, I think, is what I've got left. I mean, I want to get to 50 wins. I think I'm at 46 or something like that right now, all told. So, I should hit that next year, knock on wood, barring some kind of disaster, natural or me not being able to cook. But 50 wins has been a goal of mine. And then after that, man, it's all about majors. And you've got to cook a little bit. We talked earlier, you can't just jump in and be sharp. So, I'll have to cook contests to stay there. I don't know that I'll ever make another Team of the Year run. I don't know that I really need to. That being said, if I start hot or if it's sitting there, I'm sure I'll gear up and do it again. But it's definitely not something that is on my want to do list. But the Royal, I've got King of the Smoker, which is great. I've got a reserve grant at the Royal. I've got a reserve grant at Sam's Club Nationals. We got a bunch of them. So King of the Smoker, I consider a major. So I managed to get that win. But now, the American Royal, instead of second, turn that into a first, and the Jack, and then hopefully get to cook. We'll cook Memphis in May, go cook Houston, and hopefully get a win somewhere.
Right on. It's the one thing that's very awesome about our sport is that there's always something more to shoot for, unless you're Darren. But
yeah. Nobody's catching Darren, man. I mean, Darren's at the top of the mountain, and we're all just kind of down at the bottom of it, circling up there. I mean, the stuff he's done, it's incredible. Obviously, he doesn't have a Team of the Year, though. I will point that out. But man, he's won everything multiple times, and just coming out last week, man. I mean, getting a reserve grand out there at that contest. I mean, it's just how he performs when it's all on the line is truly remarkable.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I try and teach people as well when people ask me for advice. And a lot of people, I've been blessed to cook amongst all you guys and the world's best, and they're like, "What's the difference between those guys and just coming out here and cooking?" And I'm like, the amount of focus that's there on game day is something that you don't see here. And I've tried to emulate that. And that's the one thing that I tell people, like, it's the focus, it's the preparation during the week. It's being in it and being all the way in it. And that's something that I've learned a lot and really now focus on whenever I'm cooking.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a full week job. I mean, just finding meat. I mean, you can lose the kind of, we always joke around, so one of the corny jokes from sports is, well, you can't win a contest on Wednesday, but you can sure lose it. You know what I mean? by not cutting open that extra brisket or go find that extra rack of ribs. So.
Right. What's your week look like out from a competition? Do you do stuff on the same day?
Yeah, I mean, I generally, I'll go to the restaurant. I'm usually at the restaurant Monday, Tuesday, digging through stuff. So I'll kind of try to source, and what I get from the restaurant usually is pork and ribs. I'll order it in. So even if I'm not using, like, we'll use different stuff, Compart Duroc, and I've used Creekstone Duroc, and we'll use Prairie Fresh and some other stuff. But I'll always order that in through the restaurant. We get that from our food suppliers. And so that usually comes in on Monday. So I kind of try to get there on Monday, because otherwise the guys there will cook it. I've had that happen before where my competition stuff's been cooked and you get there. So I try to get there and get it out of there before they do that. And then other than that, usually Wednesday is my big day to get everything ready. I'll do my brisket, do my chicken, injections, make sure my rubs are all stocked, everything else on Wednesday, and then get everything loaded up and roll on Friday morning.
Absolutely. I think that having that structure there every week, I don't know, for people who aren't OCD, it really helps. That's me. I'm not. The only thing I'm OCD about is barbecue. So I learned that from him, and I try and get it done every day the same, or every week's the same week. We'd like to talk about our successes a lot. And I think that's part of being in a barbecue is talking about what you've done. But I think one of the coolest things that I like to talk about are the failures. We've all had big catastrophic failures at contests that you learn from. Do you have a favorite failure of yours, or any good stories about something that you really screwed up?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the one at Laurie, Missouri, where Tim and I probably started drinking the night before, I'd say, and we were heavily into it back in the days. And we're sitting there at one point at 9:00 in the morning, sitting on the back of his trailer, sitting there talking about how drunk we are, like, oh my goodness, And so what happens is I get there, get ready to go put my chicken on, and I put my chicken on usually around 10:00, a little bit after 10:15, some of that neighborhood. And I opened up my chicken cooker and it was not lit. And so I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, this is a problem. And so I'm juggling food around, moving everything, move my ribs off, cook my chicken on there. Needless to say, we get killed. That's the same contest that I made my 8-month pregnant wife run my brisket box. So that's how my day. So I'd say that's probably in barbecue one that stands out where I was not in the right place mentally to do a contest. But not like your chicken cooker. That's an important one. You want to remember to do that. I've had my chicken cooker go out before. That happened on famously while we were getting it filmed. And people are like, "Oh, does it happen all the time?" Nope, one time. The camera crew happened to be there, so that was good. It's all self-made obstacles more than anything else, I think. As far as my failures go, they're definitely cause and effect, and you can trace it right back to yourself.
Sometimes you got to get out of your own way. That's
no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
What's one of the most surprising things that come out of competition barbecue for you?
Most surprising things. I mean, I just think, for me, just the success we've had, not that I'm surprised about that, but just the success we've had on the other outside of stuff out of competition, like leading to the restaurants, leading to a lot of the classes. I mean, we've been on 3 continents doing classes for the love of Pete. We got people paying. We sell out classes all over. We got people paying a lot of money. I mean, that's shocking to me always. It's always humbling, and I'm always appreciative. But just the fact that I've turned this into a career is the pleasant surprise. Obviously, I'm glad I could do it, but it's just something that I never intended to do, or I didn't, not that I didn't intend to, I just never thought it was possible, right? I thought it was a hobby. And just the fact that now is how I make the majority of my money. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing, I think, as far as, and surprising, and not something that I don't think you could count on. I don't know if it's something like people ask me, how do you do it? I mean, good lucky as shit, man, to be honest with you. I have everything fall into place because I don't think there's any roadmap or blueprint that you can do to have it happen. I think just hard work and putting everything you have into something you love, and then just good things ended up happening.
Yeah. So do you still have the day job?
I mean, I still hack around on my day job. Yeah. I don't need it, but it's hard to walk away from, man. I mean, it's it's the velvet handcuffs, so to speak. It's hard to turn down the money. That's for sure. And it's I enjoy doing it, and I'm good at it. So
how has your career and your other life experiences outside of barbecue prepared you to be the competition cook that you are?
Well, I mean, I don't know about my career. I mean, I played some football in college, and just my life I mean, I was raised competing. I mean, I competed everything. My wife competes at everything. She and I competed everything together. So it's just that right there alone, just the fact that competing, knowing how to compete, and it's always been this way. I've always had something that I put myself into 100%, for better, for worse, be it sports, or skied a lot when I was growing up, sports, getting into, whatever it is, man. I mean, whatever I'm doing at the moment is like the most important thing in my life, if that makes any sense, even though I know how dumb or stupid it is. But that's really kind of prepared me for barbecue, because you really do need that level of dedication to something that doesn't make a lot of sense to give that level of dedication to, at least on the surface. So, that's certainly helped me.
And it's hard explaining that to people who don't have that drive. especially who don't know about competition barbecue, explaining to them why you're breaking your ass every week to go and do this. I mean, that's hard to communicate to people.
Yeah, you either got that gene or you don't, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like I can't make it make sense to you. Why is it important? It just is, man. It's important to me. I mean, it's just that why am I going to drive across the country? To lose money. Well, I'm going to do it because I'm that competitive. I want to win, and it's just if you're that way, you're that way, and there's certain population that are, and if you're not, you're not. It's not something I don't think you can just pick up.
What's one of the best decisions you made when you first started competing?
Oh, taking a class. I took Rod Gray's class when I did my first season. We had some success in the first season, but I took Rod Gray's class like in February or something. I think that of 2013 of that deal, and we won our first contest in April of that year. We went out and got kicked a little bit, but I was already pretty good at the other meats. Like 3 meats, chicken was what I struggled at. I made Michael go up and talk to Lauren Hill at a contest in Parsons, Kansas, and Lauren got us kind of on the track for cooking chicken. Got us good flavor profile, one that I still frankly run to this day. He got that us going there. But just taking the class, asking for help, man. And the funny thing is about that chicken deal, because we asked Lauren, probably like that was in 2012 when we asked him. Probably about 2015, Lauren came up to me at a contest, and he's sitting there, and this is Miami, Oklahoma. I remember, like, because I hadn't really. I'm good friends with Lauren now, but I wasn't really then. But I talked to him a little bit, here and there, and he'd helped us out a ton in 2012 when we were first starting. And this is when we were first starting to have success. And Lauren comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Brad." I'm like, yeah, Lauren. He goes, "Can you tell me, what are you doing in chicken? What's working? So what are you doing in chicken?" I said, "Lauren, I'm doing exactly what you told me to do, man. I mean, I'm cooking, running the sauce right." He goes, "Yeah, but I don't remember what it was I told you." So he forgot completely what it was. So I'm like, "Okay, Lauren, here's how you cook your chicken recipe. You get some smoked this barbecue bow, you put some blues hog in there, you go in there and run it." So it was pretty funny. That's what I do. I kind of turned the corner when I had Lauren coming up and asking me for advice on how to cook his chicken. Then I knew I'd kind of made it.
Wow, we actually have a similar story to that when I won Chicken Team of the Year, and you were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Learned it by watching you, buddy."
It goes back to Bet Network, man, doesn't it? I mean, it always does. And sometimes you need to be reminded, right? Sometimes you need to be reminded that what you do works, and get, like you said, get out of your own way, man. Quit overthinking it. It happened to me after I won Chicken Team of the Year. That was 2015, and I was driving around, and Eric Lee was chasing me. And so I was going to contests just to cook chicken and try to fend off Eric Lee. And so I started spending like 2 hours trimming my chicken. I mean, just ridiculous. I'm making it perfect. Just in there making it. But what I was doing is I was taking out all the stuff that tasted good. Like I was scraping all the fat off. I was doing this. And my chicken scores nosedive. Thank goodness I held them off the end of the year. But I started next year. I couldn't buy a chicken call. And finally, we're in Russellville, Arkansas. And I'm sitting there, and I go up to Tim. I'm trimming chicken there. For some reason, I was double, and I couldn't get it done. And Tim walks into the trailer and goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm trimming chicken." And he goes, "When did you start doing that?" I said, "I've always done this." And he goes, "No, you've never done that, man. I had no idea what you're doing." And I got all pissed off. I didn't trim them at all. I sit there and just wrapped them up, just kind of squared them up. Didn't do anything at all. Got a perfect 180 that next day in chicken. And it just goes to show that we're trying so hard, and I was overthinking it so hard. I was just completely screwing myself up. And it just took Tim to sit there and remind me, "Hey, man, get back in here. Get back to doing what you're supposed to do." And immediately the scores just went up on it.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people the solution is never to add more shit in. It's always to go back to the basics or to take stuff away. That'll give you a better product all the time, in my opinion. And that's through a lot of the year that we ran for chicken. I was doing the same thing. I would buy 60 pieces of chicken to find 18, and you're just weighing each one. And it's like, my God, what have I turned myself into?
Right. It's barbecue, man. I mean, yeah. And it's just over trimming them, overdoing everything, right? Maybe you're putting more seasoning on, get them right. Get back to the basics always. I mean, that's when I'm struggling, always where I go back to the basics.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into the whole reason I wanted to have you on this podcast. You are one of the most superstitious people that I know, especially in barbecue. So talk to me about some habits and rituals and routines, and then we'll address music.
Yeah, because music's part of it. You got you got certain days that we play certain songs, but yeah, I don't know that I guess I am superstitious, but it's just more like if something's working right, why rock the boat? So it starts out with my drums. So I've got two sets of drums, and of course, and a lot of this goes back to also that I don't lose anything. It's got to be something else, like the drums or the music or the fact that I didn't tell Lucky my meat is shit or whatever. It can't be me cooking. It's got to be something else. So the first thing is definitely the drums. I'll run the drums that are hot. If I go on like this end of the year, I ran the same drums the whole time, even though I got another perfectly clean set. I'd come back and I'd clean those. I clean those in like 32-degree weather in the rain, because I wanted to cook on that set of drums instead of the other ones. So that's the first thing. I do, like I said, got to text Lucky, got to tell everybody my cook is terrible. Got just a bunch of stuff like that. I've got I'll wear the hat. Like I'll wear a hat until I lose it. When I lose it, I'll throw it away. My wristband, I'll wear that until it loses, then it's gone as soon as it loses or whatever. Just sit there and keep riding it, while it's hot. And then the music. So generally I'm going to be like classic, old school, like outlaw country on a Friday night. Saturday, I'll start out with outlaw country, and then I'll kick it over kind of into my reggae mix. But then what I started doing, and this all started from my brisket tune, which whenever I'm cutting brisket, I have a playlist that consists of two songs. One of them is the Force MD's Tender Love, of course.
Absolutely.
And the other one is Ready for the World, Love You Down. So I'll have those things on loop, playing as loud as I can while me and Michael are in a tiny trailer that's about 110 degrees. So if you see that, it's not weird. It's just, that's just what we do. We're just letting the brisket get tender. And so that led into Sundays, which I do my slow jam Sundays all the time, which I just play classic soul the whole time. So that's my Sunday music that I've got to do. And that's what I screwed up at the Invitational. I figured it out because I thought, okay, it's a Saturday, but it is the last cook of the season. So I should be able to play slow jam Sundays on a Saturday. No, that was a big mistake on my part. And it cost me the contest, frankly. I don't think Smoking Buttheads would have had it if I would have just played my normal country on Saturday.
I did a little research, and every time that you have sent me a screenshot of Can You Stand the Rain, I think you've won. At least won a category every time. And and that made that song now is on our chicken playlist for sure. We have a playlist for each meat, same 3, 4, 5 songs. And I still take hell for that because it's not high energy. It's not, but I'm like, it's a thing. It has to be there.
You got to have, Can You Stand the Rain is just, obviously we got to get this out of the way. It's one of the best songs of all time.
Absolutely.
New edition. Fantastic tune, and that is our song officially. I know your wife doesn't like it, but that is our song. You guys can find another one.
She's gonna have to
no, yeah, just the way it is. But no, that's whenever that comes on, and what really is good, sometimes that'll come on during chicken turn-in, and I'll stop what I'm doing. I have to screenshot it, send it to you, because I know for a fact that day I'm going to win chicken. I should just go tell everybody to go home at that point, because it's all over.
Exactly. At that point, karma has intervened.
Yeah.
And it's just new edition. And if it comes on, that's the end of the story. I mean, that's just the way it works. And, I can't.
What I love is
it's so important.
What I love is the number of people now that are doing slow jam Sundays along with me. I think I got Matt Walker. I've heard it blared out of Fred Robles' trailer before. There, it started out as kind of, I was like, man, this, I could turn this up, probably annoy a few people. And you get back to the gamesmanship and getting some people's heads. I mean, it's pretty hard. You're sitting there and you're trying to cook, and a lot of people have Metallica on or something good. And I've got like End of the Road by Boyz II Men blaring out there. They're just looking at it going, what in the hell is this guy doing? And so it just kind of gets them a little bit off their game, but it's kind of funny because a lot of other people have picked that up. So it's
you mentioned Fred, and Fred, New Edition's not weird to me, but Fred trimming his brisket to My Body's a Wonderland by John Mayer, that's weird to me.
Yeah, that might be over the line, man. I think he might have crossed it on that.
I'll never forget the day that I saw it. We were cooking beside each other, and he put it on, and he goes, "Don't judge me." I was like, "Oh no, I am."
No, you're judged. There's no way we can get. Yeah, this is getting judged. There's no doubt. There's a difference. We're talking about classic soul songs here versus like college pop rock or whatever John Mayer is. I mean, it's not even comparable.
No.
We got to fix Fred's game, man. There's no way he can keep doing that.
So one of my favorite questions, barbecue's expensive as hell. We spend a bunch of money on a bunch of stuff. I know you're trailer hunting right now. That's crazy. But what's a purchase of $100 or less that has really impacted your barbecue life?
Purchase of it. And so this is a difficult one for me. And because I'm not a gadget guy, like, that, like, I'm not a gadget guy.
Right.
So I really don't I really don't have a lot of stuff. I haven't really purchased a lot of stuff that's probably in the last 4 or 5 years, I haven't really changed the way I cook that much. So I don't have a good answer for this one. I mean, obviously, the if you're just starting out, obviously the cotton gloves under the nitrile, I mean, that's like the game changer of all game changers. I remember the first time I saw that deal, and my mind was, I'm like, how do you sell any other barbecue gadgets, like the little bear claws and all the other stuff? When all you got to do is just go to Harbor Freight and just grab some cotton gloves and some nitrile gloves, and then you can actually use your hands and feel stuff. So, I mean, as far as if you're not a competitor and you happen to stumble across this, something you can do to up your game and be a pro, that would be the first one that I would get. To be honest with you, under $100, man, I don't have a lot of stuff just because I'm not a gadget guy, man, at all. Go get some clean grates. That's probably one thing I tell people, man.
Yeah.
Go out and buy some clean grates for your drums, man. It's amazing. You'll see some of those things that are just filthy. And you're like, you're going to start your food out on that? Okay. So anyway, sorry, it's probably an anticlimactic answer, but
not really.
I'm not a gadget.
I would argue that getting a really good degreaser to clean your drum is super important.
It's $7.98 from Sam's Club, man. You get that degreaser. And, another good investment for $100, man. Get a good knife, and you can get a good. When we're talking about, you don't need a good imported fancy knife, man. We just like those good thin boning knives. Just get a good sharp boning knife to help you trim meat, man. That'll change your life too. If you're using a knife that's not razor sharp, you're really, really making it hard on yourself.
That's great advice. You've been traveling a lot and you're getting ready to go on vacation, but now we're into the favorite part of the broadcast for me, the rapid fire questions.
Oh boy. Okay. I didn't study either, so I'm not telling what's going to happen.
What do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
Man, all the excuses. That's what bothers me. And shut up and cook. I think Sterling had a shirt that said that. Man, I couldn't agree. Go out there and cook, man. If you're losing, focus inward. Don't focus out. Everybody wants to look for a reason why they lost. I promise you, if you dig hard enough, you'll find out why you lost.
Absolutely. What's one of your favorite pre, during, or post-competition meals?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I like to go over to Joe's trailer and steal one of those oatmeal cream pies. I think everybody, the next time you're at a contest, just go over there and knock on there and just tell them you're there for the oatmeal cream pie.
What is your favorite present that you like to give to people?
My favorite present I like to give to people?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a tough one. I should have studied. My favorite present I like to give to people. You need to get David McAllister on this show because he's the present giver. I'm the present receiver. Well, yeah, I guess lately we've been giving people like leftover, like not leftover barbecue, like goodie bag barbecue sauce. That's always a good present. You can sit there and shove over, like, my dad wants some stuff. Hey, I want some barbecue. Here you go, buddy. Here's about $300 worth of stuff that I got in goodie bags.
There you go.
Is that the most narcissistic answer you've gotten so far?
Definitely.
It's got to be. Okay, sweet. That's how it goes.
I'm not a gift giver. I'm a gift getter. That'll probably be the title of this podcast. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions about you?
Biggest misconceptions about me. I mean, I think, especially since, I ended up quitting drinking. I don't know if everybody knows that, but I a couple years ago. And I think people take me way too seriously. I really am. I'm never serious about anything, but I think I come across as a serious person. So I think the biggest misconception is odds are if it's coming out of my mouth, it's bullshit. So I think, people that don't know me, that need to know me. If you're ever curious if I'm serious or not, the answer is no, I'm not.
All right, so if the present question threw you for a little bit of a whirl, this one's really going to get you. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions or billions, what would it say and why?
Millions or billions? Good night, man. Yeah, that's going to throw me way off for a loop. Man, I guess, I don't have a clue. I need to listen to I don't even think I've got anything even that's worth saying to millions or billions.
Eat it getting basted.
Need to get absolutely. I put that one up there. I was trying to take this. I was trying to be take this answer, be a better person instead of just self promotion. But I guess, yeah, throw it in the middle of Branson and eat it getting basted would be the best one.
I don't want to deprive you of that opportunity to try and say something clairvoyant right now.
Jeez, I mean, vote. I don't know, man. Thought we can go on with it. We can go with vote. We can go. Let's see what my social media man telling me. Wear a mask. We get on all those, but no, yeah, getting based side would be a good one.
Wear a mask. That would be a good one. Yeah.
Finish the vaccine. How about that one?
That would be great to get life back to normal. Last question.
I love the dude. I wish I would have studied up that, you see those memes, that guy that's just got the random cardboard box, like he's just standing up there with this written on there. I wish I could have picked one of those out because those things crack me up. But just some random message on the billboard would be the best thing in the world.
Last question. What is an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love?
Man, unusual habit or absurd thing that I love. I'm like, okay, so this is full disclosure. I don't want anybody to think less of me over this, but I always get a hard time. Like, we're kind of halfway looking at building a house right now. We're shopping for houses. We haven't decided what we're going to do. But the one thing that I have to have in my house that's like killed more deals than anything else is a nice bathtub. Because, Luke, I am a soaker. Okay. After a contest, I like to go and take a bath and instead of a shower. And I think that is the one thing that not only surprises people, that could have been that answer. It really appalls people. It even offends some people that you sit there and say, I'm a man and I like to take baths.
I think that, yeah, that's wrong that people would find that offensive. I mean, I get that same reaction, and I know you share this love with me, the love of a good pedicure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well, we got spa days. Me, Joe, David. If you need to come down to Excelsior Springs, we always have our spa day down there. A good manicure, pedicure, massage. It's hard to beat that.
It is hard to beat that. And I tell people, if you don't take care of your feet, what are we doing here? This is nonsense.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, Brad, thank you very much for being on with me, and tell the people where they can find you online. Any products or sponsors you'd like to highlight? Have at it.
Oh, man, you can find me at gettingbasted.com. It's one of our restaurants. dsporehouse.com is another one of our restaurants down the street, Poorhouse. Pretty much Twitter, Facebook, everything handle is at Gettin Basted. And, of course, we've already done enough for our sponsors with Tim, Gateway Drums, Blues Hog, Vanilla with Snake River Farms. And then other than that, man, I'm my business partners. Appreciate them letting me go out and cook, and appreciate guys like you that want to do podcasts and listen to people like me. It makes it all worthwhile.
Well, it's been great having you on here, and I hope they get to see you soon, hopefully in Lakeland.
Man, are you going down there?
Yeah.
All right. I'll be down there too, man. Let's have a good time. Yeah, we got to tell them about also that time about Darren cooking on a Traeger when I really needed them to show up and win the contest. And he showed up.
Yeah, that was the same that same Plant City contest.
I still have not quite forgiven him for that, for not just completely laying down and not even trying the one time that I want him to win. We
even had 3 really good calls. And I mean, I remember that brisket when we pulled it off the Traeger and we looked at it, and I'm like, he's like, what's that dark line? I was like, I do not know, but I know that this box is DOA. Like, it is. And I think we had a 5th, a 6th, and a 3rd. And then, yeah.
Brisket. Yeah. Well, we'll do a Florida redemption. That's what we're going to go for here in January.
All right, buddy. Well, hopefully if I don't see you before then, we'll see you down there. And thanks again for being on.
All right, man. Take it easy, Luke. We'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and share it out with all your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke YouTube channel as well. This week, we featured our cantaloupe pie video that is deliciously scrumptious. We'll have another episode for you next week featuring Jim Elser with Sweet Smoke Q. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedenka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2020.